Hello, welcome back to another episode of Dear Source, your ascendancy hotline, where we connect in with Source and dive deep into real life questions and struggles and connect with how those struggles and challenges, which are lessons, are here for our spiritual growth. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, here to remember that we are the divine, that every lesson presented is to return us to that state of divinity, and that all these things that are occurring in the external world are just pointers to remember that we are the creators, that we hold the answers within, and that we are here for all the divine lessons. So let's explore today's letter and get connected with the wisdom of Source. And today's letter comes from Endlessly Analyzing. Dear Source, I'm a chronic overthinker to say the least. I analyze everything, every choice, every word, every possible outcome from every angle imaginable. I'll pick apart a situation left, right, and twice on Sunday, talking through every detail with anyone who will listen. But now it's getting to the point where I'm driving people away. My husband and my friends are starting to avoid these conversations, and I don't blame them. They're tired of hearing me go over the same issue 1,000 different ways. The thing is I don't know how to stop. My mind won't let it go, replaying each scenario on a constant loop. It's exhausting, but I can't seem to break the cycle. How do I find a way to quiet my mind, let things go, and find the peace without feeling the need to dissect everything to death? I don't want to push my loved ones away, but I am not sure how to shift out of this pattern. Please help me understand how to release the habit of overthinking and find some clarity. Sincerely, Endlessly Analyzing. So, thank you for that beautiful letter. And start by acknowledging that you are self aware. That's really the first thing that we're really here to become and do, is to be the observer of our thoughts, to know that we are not our thoughts. We are God, Source, the universe, divine itself. That is who we are. The essence of the whole universe is we are Source. We are consciousness. We are here to find the vibrational alignment with that pure Source consciousness. Another word would be the pure Christ consciousness. Like, what was Jesus pointing us to? One of the greatest teachers, ascended masters that we have to learn from is Christ. And Jesus was pointing us to the divinity of who we are. And this isn't about religion or anything like that. It's about when he walked this earth, what was he teaching us? What was he pointing us to? What was he truly doing? And he was teaching us how to get to a state of pure consciousness, which is why we incarnate in here and we have these life lessons that we're going through, is to teach us that we are not those things and that we ourselves are Source itself. We are consciousness itself. God would not be able to experience himself without being in us. And we couldn't experience God if we were not incarnate on this planet. So the only way God can know himself is through us. And the only way we can know ourselves is through God. And so Jesus points us to something very beautiful. In John 10:30, he talks about, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. And what Jesus was talking about there is God and I are consciousness. God and I are one and the same, but the power of God is greater than Christ. Not that we have seen where we've gone, where there's separation, and that's where we are being pointed back to the unity of who we are. So when we think about the one law, the law of one, understanding that we are here to love one another as we love ourselves, to do no harm, that whole law is pointing us to the universal concept that we are one with the universe. We are an emanation of Source itself. And we are then, as a reminder of that, a reminder of our divinity, to act from that state of consciousness. And when we realign and remember that we are Source itself, and that we are the creators of our own reality. We each and every one of us is the creator of our own reality. The ego wants you to have the illusion that you're the individual doer. And when you think about what you just wrote, Endless Analyzer, of trying to dissect and control and nuance what's going on, that's really your ego, the illusion of the separate self, your own power, your own energy designed to work against you. It wants you to be in that endless state of overanalyzing, because if you can just acknowledge whatever situation you're thinking about is a lesson, what am I supposed to learn from that lesson? And you move through that very quickly. You take all the oxygen away from your ego. And it's very, 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 very easy for all of our minds to be overrun. And to not, and for us to think that that is our reality, when in all reality, remembering that we are the divine and everyone and everything is in divine right order, because we live in a benevolent, loving universe. There's nothing separate to us. Everything exists in right relationship. We have everything in this universe pointing us back to how divine and perfectly orchestrated everything is. We have our human body that from the moment of inception, the cells start to divide, they start to go where they're meant to go. They don't even need a second thought of what am I supposed to do? They just naturally it just naturally happens. This cell's going to the brain, this cell's going to the heart. It's just naturally occurring within us. And the same thing is going on external to us, that the divine right order of everything and everyone that we exist in relationship with is just a spiritual lesson for us to remember our divinity. And so the opportunity that I believe that you have endlessly analyzing is to notice when you're getting those thoughts and observing, where is that coming from? Why is that occurring? What part of me wants to overanalyze that? And when you notice that, then understanding like, oh, that part of me is so protective of me. It wants to make sure I get everything right and that I haven't missed anything. I love you for being that vigilant and that observant self, but I've got this. I'm safe. I am fine. There's no need to continuously hash about this. Like everything is resolved in divine right order. and we remove that energy. Because the other thing is we've also had this conception that somehow is the individual doer as the ego, that we have control over our external reality. And I think that's one of the greatest illusions that we are here to overcome, is that we have dominion over our inner state. So when we change our inner state, that's when we change the outer world. The outer world then becomes a reflection of our inner state. And so that's where we have such opportunity to come into the essence and the power of who we are as the creators of our reality, of the remembrance of we are one with Source. We are one with God, but God is greater than who we are. And so when we remember that and we go back to that, we come into a state of ease and peace and alignment, because there's also a remembrance of the trust that we have in the universe. So part of what I see you speaking to in this letter is also not trusting yourself or whatever decision you've made. Or the other thing I can pick up on is having control over what other people are doing. It's like this endless hashing. Like the more I talk about it, the more I'm going to change their outcome or where they're at. And the reality is that's not how this works. When we change ourselves, we change everybody else. So if you want someone else to change, whatever you're endlessly analyzing, whatever the situation might be, the reality is when you change yourself, you actually change the outcome of that reality. And so everything that's happening in going on is just a pointing back to the essence of who you are, and for you to remember that. So those moments that come up are just opportunities for you to ensure that you're in alignment with Source. And when we go down these rabbit holes, that's an indication that we are not in the truest essence of ourselves. And it's just a compass. It's just a GPS. It's just a pointing back to of I'm the creator of my reality. And what's the reality I want to create? So if endlessly hashing over something is what you want to create, well, you're going to create more of that. And typically, the more you talk about something, the more that then is made manifest into our world. So if we're complaining and rehashing something over and over and over again, what do you think the universe is just going to mirror back to us to reaffirm what we believe? It's going to give that back to us so that we come back to that. So there's so many spiritual lessons that can be learned in this, and to remember that we are Source. So we are not our minds. Our minds are just an opportunity. They're the translator. They're the translator between Source and our physical reality. You know, our body doesn't house our soul. Our body is in our spirit. And it's the same. So if our body, which has our mind, which is our information highway that connects us into this 3D world, it's in the spirit. So when it starts to create narratives that aren't in alignment with Source, that's just an opportunity for us to come back to ourselves and to remember the divinity of who we are. So take these moments when your mind starts to race and wander, is to slow it down and start to get curious, because you're the creator of your own reality. So start to ask yourself the questions of, where is that coming from? Why am I obsessing about that? Spend some time in that to find out where that's originating, so you can love that part of you, invite that part of you into you, and appreciate what they offer, but also to then requalify and to let them know that that's not true. So we have a tremendous opportunity to use every situation for our spiritual growth, because that's the only reason why it's happening. And to find the lessons, it takes the inquiry and the observation to come back to ourselves. So thank you for joining me on today's episode of Dear Source, where we align spirituality, all the spiritual principles, with real world experiences to help us grow and learn as a spiritual being having a human experience. If this episode or any of my previous episodes resonated with you and you would like deeper guidance, personalized guidance, I invite you to book a private session with me. Let's talk about what's going on and how we can unlock the spiritual path for you. And coming soon, we have a like-minded spiritual community that we will be launching, which I am super excited about. So stay tuned for that, because we are here as a human species, as a collective, to grow together. We are interconnected, which means we need each other for our spiritual growth. We can't do this alone. So until next time, trust your process, honor your truth, and stay connected to Source.